Thank you for joining me here on the Coach's Call. I'm your host, Guido Perino. If you haven't subscribed to the show yet, please do. Would love to have you along for the long-term journey. Hear your comments and feedback as we go. Today on the Coach's Call, I would like to talk about Ferrari, Lewis Hamilton. Boy, unexpected announcement that Lewis Hamilton is going to Ferrari in 2025. Now, there's a couple of problems I have with this. First of all, we have a whole 2024 season to get through and to make an announcement that it's going to happen in 2025, which I don't know. In any other sport, this whole idea of, you know, collusion and integrity enter the conversation for this season because Lewis is still driving for Mercedes this entire season coming. Carlos Sainz is also driving for Ferrari, and he's now a lame duck, second driver in on that team. And the teams can say, "Oh, we're gonna support our drivers and do what we need to do," but the reality is they're already looking forward to the next season. What does that mean for this season? Are we not getting the best racing? Are we not getting the best car? Um, Lewis made some calculated decisions based on what his knowledge is of the Ferrari, not this season, but the following season. And I'm sure that played into the decision as well as some of the relationships that we've heard. I just don't know that I just don't know that it did something right for this season. And it just feels wrong from an integrity perspective of racing overall. Now, the whole idea of Lewis going over to Ferrari, boy, there's good the Ferrari base is really they got one foot on both sides of the river on this, right? Like for a long time, there's a lot of Ferrari fans who just were thinking, no way, man, we don't like Lewis. We don't like the way he drives. We don't like the way he acts. We don't like, and some of that is rooted in the competitiveness of how Mercedes was winning and winning and winning, and Ferrari wasn't. It's simple. But some of it was rooted in they just didn't like Lewis Hamilton. And so now they've got to face the idea that in another year, if you want Ferrari to win, you kind of have to cheer for Lewis Hamilton. And some of them might be struggling still with the whole idea of Michael Schumacher, right? Because Lewis Hamilton's tied the record. And what such irony that they have to cheer for Lewis, who they didn't want. They didn't want him. That there's a group of the Ferrari fans didn't want him to break the Michael Schumacher, seven-time world championship record. But now, if they want their brand, if they want Ferrari to win, they're going to have to, one of the guys there is Lewis Hamilton. They're going to have to cheer for him if Charles Leclerc just can't cut it. And who's getting the number one car over in Ferrari? A lot of answers, a lot of questions, a lot of answers that we don't have. Um, but here's another thing I thought of, and I was just thinking of the whole Lewis going to Ferrari at this stage in his career. Sometimes when you go to the store and you buy a brand new pair of shoes, and they're bright, they're shiny, they're clean. You take care of them that first little while. Performance is really good. Let's say even if it's a running shoe, right? Performance is really good on the running shoe, brand new, takes you places, makes you go fast, helps you go faster, gives you comfort, all that stuff, right? And then at some point that shoe reaches its midlife and you start to look at it and you start to say, some point I'm going to need a new shoe. But it's still okay for now, right? And it's still doing okay. Not as good as it was, but it's still doing okay. And then you get to the point where you go, oh, I really like this shoe, but I don't want to get rid of it yet. But it's getting close. And it still has a few miles in it. It still might help you win a few races if you're racing with that shoe. But it's hanging on and the performance is really starting to decline. And then at some point you retire the shoe and it becomes a shoe that you wear when you paint a room, right? Like you have a second pair of shoes that you use just to do errands around the house, maybe even. And when I think of Lewis Hamilton and I think of past drivers that have come to Ferrari, past championship level drivers, and it just feels like, you know, Lewis Hamilton's at that stage in the shoe life cycle where might have one more good go at him, but he's almost getting close to being the shoe that you put, you know, on the shelf in terms of, oh, I might use it once in a while when I do these other things around the house. I say this cautiously, and I hope it does. I hope it ages well because he's still a young guy. But if Ferrari doesn't have the car for Lewis Hamilton to be Lewis Hamilton, it's not going to be a long stint with Ferrari. I just can't see him being here for seasons and seasons. Could he go to another team? Who knows? It depends on. I mean, look at Fernando Alonso, right? Like, wow, what a career, and he's still such a solid driver. Um, but I'm just not. I don't know. I think so myself as like liking Ferrari for many years, I'm not quite there in terms of Lewis Hamilton being in the Ferrari fold. And maybe I'm not quite there yet because of the way it was done. And it seems that we have, we do take issue with the way things are done in sports, and we realize it's a business, but the early announcement might be what we're all struggling with. But then again, maybe it gives us time to, climatize to Lewis Hamilton being in a Ferrari car a season from now. Not sure I buy into it. Don't like the way it was done. Not sure he's going to deliver a championship. Raises all sorts of questions in terms of the team dynamics, but we're going to have to wait and see. That's the coach's call on Formula One. Thank you for joining me. If you enjoy the show, please consider subscribing. Love to have you around. Take care.